Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. This is Monday, April 1st. It's April Fool's Day, the least good holiday of the entire year. This is episode 89. Chuck McKinnick, you're looking refreshed, my friend.
I am. I feel refreshed. Good to be back.
Good to be back. How was the vacation?
It was very, very good. I had a really good time while away, learned lots of new things, saw a bunch of different things that I hadn't seen before, met some nice people along the way, but it's nice to be back too and back in the hunt.
If you had to put an estimation on the volume of German beer that you consumed,
minimum 2 per day. So that was, I'd say the over-under would be 14, I guess.
all right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like your favorite kind of beer and stuff too. So it's like you're in the homeland over there.
Yes, it was in my natural habitat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, when it comes to drinking beer.
And hopefully Melissa had a good time too.
She did. We were talking about this. We had plans to go to Garmisch and then go up to the Zugspitze. And then we also went to Nuremberg. And what we thought we were going to get, our expectations were exceeded by at least double what we thought we were getting into. It was just absolutely amazing and spectacular, and created a lot of memories in a short period of time.
Awesome. I mean, if you are new to the program, Chuck is coming back from vacation. He was off last 2 weeks because he was overseas in Deutschland.
Yeah,
and
I'll just share one quick story because we won't want to get into it too much. But this beautiful staircase right here in the heart of Marienplatz in Munich is known as the Monica Lewinsky staircase.
Why?
And with that,
I want to know
this
why.
is some of the things I learned on my trip. But like, of all the things you're going to hear or see or not think of when you look at a staircase, I think Monica Lewinsky would probably at least be in the top 5.
I have so many questions
Yes.
and not a lot of answers.
Yes.
So are you a big April Fool's person? Do you like April Fool's? Are you
No,
a
I
prankster?
don't, because although I like to feel like I have a decent sense of humor, I'm not that clever. So usually pranks work on me, and I'm not good at delivering them because I'm not that thoughtful when it comes to,
I am so mad
doling
at the
them
zoo
out.
today for their prank.
The
They
zoo?
said they were going to bring the gondolas back.
That's the problem.
But
That's the problem.
It's like the meanest prank, though. It's like, we really want. I love the. I don't know. Do you remember the gondolas? Do you remember the?
No, I wasn't here.
No.
You're on an island.
They were amazing. They were cool.
See, I just hate April Fool's Day now. I didn't used to, and just because like when you're a kid, it's kind of funny to put Saran wrap over a toilet and your sister tries to go to the bathroom or something like that. But I hate it now because there's all these like bot accounts or like parody accounts on Twitter or on social media that'll come out and say Wemby's been traded, and we're just like, what
Right.
the f- are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And
With
you
Adam Schefter's face on it
Yeah.
and 15 followers, yes. And
Exactly.
Who
And-
amongst us hasn't fallen for that in some way, shape, or form?
That's
right?
why it's just annoying now because I got to go through like 17 sources just to make sure that everything is accurate now
Yes.
instead of 2 or 3 like we're taught.
But at least
But-
we've evolved, right? So we would have fallen for that 10 years ago, but less likely to be so inclined this time around.
Absolutely. Well, I hate April Fool's Day now. So like anybody who celebrates, good for you. We got a lot going on today. So baseball predictions from Chuck is what we're going to get since he wasn't here on Thursday, and he is our resident baseball fiend. He is our expert when it comes to baseball. We're going to jump around the league a little bit, provide some of our major takeaways from opening weekend. And also the Cowboys might be bringing back an old face in Zeke Elliott. They have some mutual interests, so we'll break that down as well. But as always, we start with our number game, 89. Mike Ditka comes to mind.
That's solid.
I didn't know that he used to be a Cowboy.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Okay, well, you're young, so you're to be forgiven.
Well, I knew he was a Bear. I know him more as a coach than a player, but I didn't know that he was a Cowboy for 4 years.
And a real good one.
Yeah, I mean he was the receiving tight end before the receiving tight ends became a thing.
Iron Mike. Good old Iron Mike.
Dave Robinson, a good one for you
that's a
for the
good one.
Packers.
See, and I think of the Packers, I think of Ben Sims, our very own Clark High School.
Oh yeah, he was 89.
So that's the 89 that actually popped into my head today.
See, I think of Steve Smith because he's more my generation.
It's another good one.
He's a great receiver, and then obviously he got in that whole controversy this year with Jerry Jeudy and criticizing him while on the field, and Jerry Jeudy's walking right behind him. So There's not a lot of really good 89s though. Like I was looking through the list, and like Mark Clayton was one as well for the Cowboys,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
not a lot of like really really notable ones. I think Mike Ditka is probably the one.
If we're gonna have to pick one, we'll go with
Yeah.
Iron Mike.
In 1989, I know I put 98 on here, but that's just my fat finger typing. The 49ers beat the Bengals 20-16. Jerry Rice, Super Bowl MVP. Joe Montana, the regular season MVP of the following year. So that'd be the 89-90 season. Baseball one-handed pitcher Jim Abbott made his MLB debut in 89. I don't even remember. I mean, I don't remember that because I'm not that like old enough to have seen it. But the fact that a one-handed pitcher was a thing in general is kind of amazing.
The guy was obviously a super athlete and really made his name on the college stage. Really good player for about 3 or 4 seasons.
I knew that he existed and I knew that this was a thing, but I didn't know that he didn't play in the minor leagues.
He was really
He literally
talented.
just went to the majors and went 12-12 in his rookie season.
Great player. I mean, and got to the point where nobody really thought of him as much of anything other than a damn good pitcher.
Right. The Oakland A's won 4 games to swept the San Francisco Giants in a series that was delayed by the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake.
Yeah, I was working in news at the time, part-time, and on the night that happened, I mean, you can imagine you're trying to do news and you have that magnitude of an earthquake with that kind of damage that's interrupting a World Series game, and then all of a sudden it goes from you're not watching the World Series or anymore, or even do you care about the World Series?
Right.
There was so much going on in terms of real life and loss of humanity and damage and all that. That was an all-timer. That was one of my earliest memories of big news days. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing this like back in the day, like 89 or 88 or whatever we do on these number games, because it reminds me of so many things that I might have either missed or like they're up here somewhere, but it just jogs the memory. Pistons swept the Lakers to beat. I don't know why I typed it like that. Pistons swept the Lakers to win their first NBA title in franchise history. The Bad Boys Pistons finally getting over the hump, the first of 2. So when we do 90, I'll also say the Pistons as
Very
well.
nice.
So
that team was, you talk about bully ball. That's kind of where it started.
That's one of my favorite 30 for 30s was the Bad Boys Pistons 30 for 30, the really, really good documentary telling you kind of all the Rick Mahorn stuff and
all the characters on that team. I mean, those guys, and they aged well too. Like I can remember even when Chuck Daly, their head coach, was out of coaching and he was doing TV and kind of doing some other stuff around the NBA. And like he would just come in, like if he was here in San Antonio in the Spurs media room, and there might be 2 or 3 people sitting at a table, and Chuck Daly would just walk in and sit down at the table and go, "Hey guys, how's it going?" It's like, holy cow, Chuck Daly just sat down and wants to break bread with us. How cool is this?
And then lastly, the Valero Texas Open's this weekend.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the 89 winner, Donnie Hammond. In the, I think it was Paul Azinger was the runner-up that year. So Donnie Hammond, 89 winner.
Okay.
We'll have another one this giving out some more boots this Sunday. So
looking forward to it. Got a great field, and it seems like it's growing by the moment. And then, I was just hoping for German purposes that, Stefan Jager won in Houston yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It was his first pro tournament that he won, and he's supposed to come here too, but usually when guys win, they take the next week off. You can't blame them when they bag that much money.
I guess they don't follow the Doyle Brunson way of golf tournaments. When you win a hand, you got to play the next hand. They don't do that with golf tournaments now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe with Jager, it's going to be a little bit different, but I hope he shows up. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool, but the field is stacked nonetheless.
Yeah, McElroy and all the other stuff.
Yeah, McElroy, Matsuyama, Morikawa, Spieth. I mean, the list goes on and on. Mm-hmm. And I think you and I and Jack will be out there tomorrow morning, trying to get some interviews with the guys.
Trying to scrape some things and cobble some things together, see who we can grab off the practice tee.
I mean, that'll be my exercise tomorrow. I just want to walk the course. I just want to see what it looks like and all that stuff. So hopefully it's not 91 tomorrow. I think it's supposed to cool down.
Yeah, if it is, you'll still have a good time out there.
Yeah, but then I'll come in sunburned. Michelle will yell at me again. It's just we don't need that.
It's all right. You need a little sun. Get rid of the Casper stuff that we got going this time of year.
You're right. I'm hoping to get rid of that and get a little bit of a tan this weekend when I go to Vegas. Let's get to the.
You buried the lead.
I mean, you just came back from vacation. Now it's my turn.
All right. Well, I know. I'm just saying you buried the lead. We could have started with that to see what kind of hijinks you're going to get into this week.
Well, I got a wedding to go to this Saturday in Vegas, and then I have a wedding to go to not this Sunday but next Sunday in Nashville. So Jordan and I are going to take from this Friday off until the following Tuesday. And just go from Vegas, spend a couple of days by ourselves in Vegas, and then fly from Vegas to Nashville, spend a couple of days there,
That
go to the
sounds like a
wedding,
good
and
time.
then come back. So instead of going from like here to Vegas, back to here, and then to
Right.
Nashville and back to here.
All right.
So just decided to make it a whole trip. But yeah,
I see the Roy's working here.
yeah,
Well
you know,
played,
we got to take a little self time, you know.
for sure.
A little bit of self time for me when I get to the blackjack tables and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about MLB opening weekend takeaways. I don't realize how many typos I had in this rundown tonight, but you know, see where my head's at. Already on vacation. What a weekend it was in Major League Baseball, Chuck. This is like, you know, Christmas for you, especially as a baseball fan. What was opening weekend like for you? Any major takeaways?
So I was even talking to my son about this, that I can't remember an opening day where it wasn't like the biggest day of the year for me. But I was in the middle of traveling and coming back. I'd almost forgotten that it was opening day. So I felt like I got off to a slow start with trying to figure out who did what. I did see the video montage that was put together with Josh Young being mic'd up. I thought that was really good. How well he handled that in the midst of having 2 ground balls hit to him in a Major League Baseball game, and how he was even, you know, cracking up the announcers while this was all going on.
Yeah.
So that was probably my biggest takeaway, and that the Rangers are really good. And
they are.
They're going to be really good this year and the year after. And, you know, maybe this is the start of something big, kind of like what's going on with the Astros. And, you know, watching the Astros too, how they really, you know, obviously things didn't go their way getting swept at home by the Yankees, but, you know, a lot of hard hit balls and a lot of fluky things happened to them. And so, you know, they're going to be just fine too. You have to probably surmise. And there's still a lot of baseball left to go, even after, you know, a few games this week.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of really awesome performances this weekend. Juan Soto just decided that he was going to go God mode on the Astros this weekend. I mean, everything that everyone wanted Juan Soto in a Yankees uniform to be, he was this past weekend. He made the key play on literally every single game. He threw out, was it Mauricio Dubon on Thursday, opening day. He hit 2 key home runs. He made a big diving catch. I mean, he was everything everyone wanted and more. And it kind of shows you how scary the Yankees can be when they have their superstar clicking on all cylinders. Then their starting pitching is going to round into form at some point.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how good he's going to be in that stadium from that side of the plate. I mean, and a lot of it, I'm sure, is psychological, but my lasting memory of Juan Soto is always going to be after they beat the Astros in 2019 in Game 7, and him coming out of the clubhouse double-fisted with a champagne bottle in each hand. And I had to ask myself, is this kid even old enough to drink? And yes, he had just turned 21, but that's going to forever be my memory with him, how good he was, how soon he was, and how that seems to be a trend now really throughout Major League Baseball.
We forget he's 25 years old. Like, he went from the Nationals to the Padres and now to the Yankees within like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was. And so sometimes you think like maybe he's 30 and you're like, no, he still hasn't even tapped into his unbelievable potential yet. And so he's 25 years old, just signed this monster, or is about to sign this monster deal. He didn't sign yet, right? No, it's coming this offseason. He's a free agent this offseason. But he's going to sign the biggest contract, probably the second biggest contract in the history of baseball, because no one's going to outdo Ohtani. But he is unbelievably talented, and if he can tap into that and finally find that home in New York, it's really scary, especially for my team. If they have the new superstar in the pinstripes.
Right. I mean, again, it's just the thing that's mind-boggling to me is just the age of these guys and how good they are. I mean, we had Jackson Merrill here playing Double-A baseball last year as a 19-year-old, and this kid makes the Padres, as stacked as they are, coming out of spring training. He's batting 9-hole on opening day. And, you know, again, we're just down at the Missions this morning. They got, you know, he's probably, I don't know where he's going to end up, but I mean, you know, last year at the end of the year, Ethan Salas, a 17-year-old kid, was here catching Double-A professional baseball, and the maturity level on these guys, not to mention the gifts that they have physically. I mean, it's literally the molding of brains and brawn at an early age that, I don't know. It's just unbelievable to me to think that there's this many young guys that can play like this.
Yeah, and another thing that we saw this weekend for opening weekend was that run scoring was way up, especially late in games. Teams are averaging 5.05 runs per game, a little bit down on the stolen bases, but that's up about half a run from last season. I know it's a small sample size, obviously only 4 days into this league year, but you see batting average is up, slugging percentage is up, OBP is up, runs are up. I don't know if that's something that's going to continue all year, but I also don't know if that's a good or bad for the game of baseball.
I think it's good. I think the more offense, the better. Generally speaking, I know when I go, I don't want to see, if a guy throws a no-hitter, great, but I don't want to see a team with 2 hits. You want to see people moving and you want to see the ball batted. I think what's happening is the games that I saw this week were really well called. Strikes were strikes, balls were balls. And if you give major league hitters a consistent strike zone in which to swing at pitches, balls are going to get hit. And there were a lot that were hit. And you're right. This time of year, you would think that pitching would be ahead of hitting, but I don't know, man. These guys they're superhuman the way they can put bat and eye to ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw a couple of games where the strike zone was a little wonky, but you're always going to have those. That's why I'm not a huge proponent of the electronic strike zone or the robot umps or whatever, because it might give the offense too much of an advantage. Because now you know exactly what's going to be a strike, exactly what's going to be a ball. They might have to.
That's fair.
They might have to kind of tweak that and create maybe an advantage for the pitcher in that way if the runs get too far out of hand. But also going to your Rangers point, they are so unbelievably young.
In a lot of places.
In a lot of places with Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter, and I mean Adolis Garcia isn't even that old, and I mean I know Seager and Simeon are on the wrong end of 30, but still it's like they're so young, and that offense can carry that pitching staff for half a season, I think. And that's what just Zach and I were talking about on Thursdays. Can the Rangers' offensive output get them to at least 500 by the time that the reinforcements come back? And I think this weekend showed that their offensive output is going to be staggeringly good once again.
Yeah, and they catch the ball too. They do a lot of things well, right? And that division is bad at the bottom with Oakland and Anaheim. So, there are going to be some wins in there too. But I was so excited about what developed last year, right? The Rangers, people thought they would be better, but nobody thought they would be World Series champions. Now you've got them and the Astros duking it out for an entire season. Both teams with, the defending champs from the last 2 years going at it. This is going to be a really fun year for baseball fans in Texas.
Yeah, and the other thing that stuck out to me this weekend, the Rockies, the A's, and the White Sox are going to be really bad. The Rockies might not win 50 games. They allowed 14 runs in the 3rd inning to the Diamondbacks. I think it was on opening day. They're going to be so horrendously awful.
It is really a shame, the disparity between the haves and the have-nots with some of these. But, other than the NFL, that's most leagues, right? That's the way it is in the NBA too. There's a lot of teams at the bottom, and then there's maybe 10 teams that are going to have a chance to win it.
Yeah, but there's something exciting about most of the younger teams in the NBA that are really bad. Like the Spurs have something exciting about them because of Wemby. The Hornets don't. But Portland still has young players that are really good that they're kind of developing. Like you see that in the NBA and you see that in the NFL. Maybe the Panthers have storylines about them that are interesting. The Rockies, the A's, the White Sox are the most uninteresting teams ever. I mean, the A's fans protested their own opening day. How bad do you have to be, especially since they're moving, to not even have 10,000 fans in your stadium?
Yeah. Are they moving? That's the thing. It's like now there's this thing on the docket where they might actually be in Oakland for the next 3 years. I mean, golly, I hope I live to see the next 3 years.
They're meeting on Thursday. That's a whole nother thing. But
I mean, it's baseball. Again, when you're that weak at the bottom, it's not good for the sport.
Yeah. Chuck, so you didn't get to your predictions, obviously, on Thursday.
Which is probably a good thing based
Zach
on
and I
my
did ours.
NCAAs. But
oh god,
that's
yeah, our brackets are so bad.
No, but nobody can eclipse what I was able to do again with the NCAA tournament.
You did. I'll give you a way out of that though, because you did pick yours like about to leave for Germany. So, but
I did say, I know for the record that if you were sitting at home and you had access to my picks, if you had taken the opposite of my picks, you would be so sitting pretty right now. I mean, that literally is the way it would have come down. If you'd have gone opposite of everything that I did, you would have been in ideal shape right now. And one year I'm going to take my own advice and do that. Fill out a bracket and then go fill out another bracket, just the opposite.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So
yes.
let's go. Give me AL West, Central, and
you know what?
East.
I'm just going to make it real easy on you here because I don't want to bore people with things I'm probably going to be wrong at, but it sure is hard to pick the Dodgers, right? I mean, yesterday's a prime example. They're meandering around with the Cardinals, and then they just figure out a way to do it late. Max Muncy hits a freaking tonner tank to basically win that ball game. They're so stacked. I just don't know how they're going to lose at this point outside of scandal. And then
we'll get to that.
And then how can you bet against the Rangers based on, what have they lost? What are they going to get back by year's end? I mean, I also know that they're not going to be afraid to make a move if something really juicy presents itself. So I'll cut out all the AL Central things of the world that nobody really cares about anyway. And quite frankly, I don't know. So we can just, I'll cut to the chase and say Dodgers and Rangers.
Who wins
in the series? If we had to sit here today, I would say Dodgers.
Dodgers over Rangers
but,
in the World Series.
Again, they play the games on the field.
Book it.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope I'm wrong, by the way, because the Dodgers are now the team I don't want to win.
Nobody's rooting for the Dodgers this year. Speaking of the Dodgers, we haven't gotten your take on the Shohei Ohtani stuff yet. A couple of these topics Zach and I brought up on Thursday, obviously talked about, but as our resident baseball fanatic here, I wanted to get your take also on the Shohei Ohtani stuff. For people who don't know, maybe didn't tune in on Thursday or haven't been paying attention, Shohei Ohtani, his interpreter, Ippei Masuhara, allegedly has stolen $4.5 million out of Shohei Ohtani's accounts and paid off illegal bookmakers. He's now been fired from the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani came out and explained a little bit, kind of, through a new interpreter. But it reeks to high heaven. The story changed about 24 hours after the story came out originally, and then instead of Shohei Ohtani paying for it knowingly, he now has no idea what happened, and he was a victim of massive theft allegedly. So it all just kind of stinks to high heaven. And what I told Zach on Thursday was, if this turns out to be true, if the Shohei Ohtani stuff, he did come out and gamble either on baseball or gamble in general, $4.5 million, or he knew of this and money came out of his account and this was all kind of something that he didn't orchestrate but was a part of. It's the biggest scandal in Major League Baseball history on the gambling side, and definitely the biggest thing to happen since the steroid era.
I believe that's fair. I would go with that too. I mean, I was out of the country when this all started to break, but instantly when you're reading how it's being presented, I think you brought up some interesting points, and those are the same kind of questions I have. And then after the incident takes place, are there going to be criminal charges filed against the interpreter? There's so many unanswered questions. And then, the way I understand it, that this story started to get legs on the local level before the national guys all come in. And then, the story gets presented. There's a press conference where he doesn't take questions. Shohei Ohtani, that is. And then the narrative seemingly it's set in stone, right? This is what has happened. There's nothing more here to see. Turn the page. It's baseball time, right? Problem solved. It just doesn't feel like it should be that clean, right?
Yeah.
That there maybe it's unfair to say that there's smoke, therefore there should be fire. But it is awfully damn odd. The thing that kept sticking out to me was, how many baseball players do you see on TV right now that have major sponsorship deals? Hardly any. I saw him all over the place the last 3 days. And even you would think with this looming out there that those spots would have been pulled at least for now, but yet the machine is allowed to keep rolling as it sees fit. I'm with you. I just think there's so many unanswered questions. And what would this mean if you can make the argument that he is, as he well should be, based on performance and what he does, not only on the mound, but at the plate and in the field, the face of Major League Baseball. There's a lot to lose if Shohei Ohtani is guilty of anything other than negligence when it comes to managing his own bank accounts.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. One, he's innocent until proven guilty.
100%.
He's not being accused of anything
Correct.
right now. It just doesn't smell right.
Right.
All of the factors that we have named. I mean, him not knowing $4.5 million came out of his own account. 9 separate wire transfers for $500,000. That has to go through multiple different checks, including a sign-off from Shohei Ohtani himself, unless he has given his power of attorney to somebody that he deeply trusts. Maybe that was Ipe. Who knows? But doesn't smell right.
Right. And if there's no charges, are there charges at this point? Like, as the interpreter?
There's no charges at this point, but you have 3 different federal organizations, Department of Homeland Security, the IRS, and the FBI, all investigating this, and this bookmaker, and Ipe, and then you just have Shohei on the side. It's like, there's no way you didn't know something. There's no way. There's zero chance that he did not know something was going on. Especially,
I think you have to say that it's within the realm of possibility that he didn't know, right?
No.
But the bottom line is it's also within the realm of possibility that he did know at this point.
At this point, I think it's equally as likely that he's the one that placed the bets as it is that he didn't know.
I can't speak to that.
That's just my sense of the situation.
I mean, again, I have questions too, and until these questions are answered to the extent that they make sense to the populace or even to us as individuals, then this is going to be lingering. But I find it fascinating that there's the mea culpa press conference, and then that's it. I haven't heard anything about it since.
Did you also think it was interesting, though, that the Dodgers didn't have any representative at that press conference? That it was like on a Dodger background, and he was in his Dodger blues, but they didn't say a statement. They didn't give anything, because it seems like they're also trying to distance themselves from this, because they don't want to be like, yeah, we knew too. It seems like the Dodgers are like, Shohei, you just go over there and do this thing.
If you're putting up a list of things on the blackboard, chalkboard, list of things that make you go, and list of things that are legit, and you start writing all these things down, I think you're going to find on one side of the ledger, on the blackboard of the chalkboard, that there are more questions than answers that have been answered to the extent where you could say that he's 100% not guilty of anything, any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, it's a black cloud over baseball until this thing is solved.
Is it, though? I don't know that it is until you have reporters that have standing, networks that have standing, but what is it to their benefit when everybody's in this together?
This isn't when the federal authorities get involved. This isn't a story that's just going to be brushed under the rug.
Well, I mean, federal authorities looked into the Michigan State stuff with the gymnast and the doctor there, and they
Larry Nassar's in jail now.
And but before that, people went to the feds and nobody did anything. So again, this is a broader topic, but we got to this place or that place of Michigan State, and maybe it's wrong to correlate the two together. Obviously, I'm just saying, just because these people were involved doesn't mean that we may ever get the answers that we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, apples and oranges with the two scenarios and the two incidents. But I see what you're saying. Like, when the federal authorities get involved, it doesn't mean everything's going to come out to the light of day.
Right.
But now that you have all of that, you have all the eyeballs of Shohei Ohtani. He's the biggest star in the entire sport. There's no way that everyone's just going to forget about it, especially with how the internet is now, and you have all of the TikTok journalists and stuff like that. It's never going to just die. Like the incident itself is never going to just fade into the wayside.
I'll be curious to see, again, it's, to me, the way that this all seemed to just go mea culpa, end of story, and now it's been a number of days. It just seems like it's on now just to the business of the season.
I don't think so, though, because last night on the Dodger broadcast, they asked Dave Roberts about it. They asked Dave Roberts about it literally during the game. And so I don't think it's just going to go away. I think they're going to continue to play baseball, because it's not like you're going to halt the season.
Correct.
But
I don't know. It might be just who, runs into my X account, on there.
Yeah, maybe.
It just doesn't seem like there's that much attention to something that, again, things that make you go,
Yeah. I mean, like we said, biggest scandal in the last 30 years, and it would be basically Pete Rose on steroids. So,
Yeah, I have to agree with you, especially with the internet.
yeah, let's get to Zeke Elliott real quick before we get out of here. So Zeke Elliott potentially returning to the Cowboys. Report came out this weekend that there is mutual interest, quote unquote, mutual interest by both sides on a reunion for Zeke to come back to the Cowboys. He's a 29-year-old running back right now. He played for them for 7 years, played for the Patriots last year, made $3 million on a one-year deal with them, ended up with like 680 some odd yards. I think he almost had 1,000 yards from scrimmage because Ramondre Stevenson went down last year. He's still got some stuff left in the tank, but what do you think on a reunion there with him, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn as the running back room?
Well, I think the way I would guess that this is being played is they're going to go into the draft. They're going to try to get a running back. And I would assume within the first 3 rounds, if I had to guess how they're playing this. So would it be beneficial to have Zeke as your banger back at a cheaper rate, plus what you already know he means to the room, what he would do to have that star back on his helmet? To me, it makes a lot of sense. I know they've thrown out Dalvin Cook too as a possibility, which again, I think this is a great conversation to have because it makes a lot of sense, especially because of everything that Zeke means, how well he did finish the season last year when given more opportunities with New England, and the fact that you can get him cheap when your salary cap is what it is, and the fact that Jerry's talked about going all in. Would this be something that you could see where he's going all in? We're going to bring Zeke back on a one-year deal. But I also think we're also having this conversation way too early. Let's see what goes on in the draft, and then they're going to play mix and match.
I mean, to me, this is just another feather in the cap of the way that the general manager and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and the player personnel and the Cowboys front office are doing business this offseason. They don't really care about winning per se. They care about putting butts in seats or getting eyeballs in the television. What's Zeke going to do? Your first game this season, whenever that is, whether that's on a Friday, a Wednesday, or a Tuesday now, because the NFL likes to schedule games on every single day of the week. Everyone's going to be watching that game to see Zeke's first snap as a Cowboy. That's all they want. It's just like, I understand he can help a little bit. Maybe he helps Dak. Maybe Dak is better now because
it helps the young guys in the room.
Helps the young guys.
There's
Maybe
a lot
helps
of reasons
Rico,
you'd want him back.
But to me, it just says we want people to keep paying attention to us.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is, it's not that they're not trying to win. It's that they're hamstrung based on some of these contracts that they have to get done. And this is a way to fill a void, fill a spot on the team at a cheaper price. So you're getting all of these other things that Zeke brings to the table, but you're doing it at a $3 or $4 million a year clip, if it's even going to be that.
It just, and I'm all for them signing Zeke. I mean, if you want to bring back Zeke as kind of that second back role or third back role or whatever, or just to be that veteran in the locker room and you sign him for a minimum deal, like, okay, cool. But it just doesn't move the needle for me anymore. This team, this offseason has been just such football malpractice by the Cowboys general managers and their player personnel and Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and even McClay to some extent. Like, they just haven't moved the needle at all. And to now be like, yeah, this is going to solve our running back issue. Okay. Yeah. Like this just doesn't do anything for me.
Well, I mean, I get that too. I just think it's easy this time of year to take a story like this. Somebody has a nugget and says, hey, there's mutual interest. That's great. I mean, I think it's a great story, but again, we're not going to have this conversation until after the draft anyway. So,
I mean, if they get Jonathan Brooks in the second round or third round or whatever, then yeah, we'll have a different conversation. But still, if you sign Zeke now, you get Jonathan Brooks, then okay, there's your running back room with Rico and Deuce and whatnot. What have you really done here? You still haven't gotten Dak done. You still haven't gotten CD done. You still haven't gotten Micah done. You still really haven't made any moves in the receiver room. You're relying on your rookies to your rookies or first or second year guys to step up and help CD out and Brandon Cooks out. You really haven't done much in the linebacking core. You really haven't done much in the defensive back room. You haven't signed almost literally anybody in free agency. How have you improved this team?
Well, I think they did by Eric Kendricks was a nice pickup.
Yeah, but Eric Kendricks just fills the void of Leighton Vander Esch.
Correct.
They still have released Jonathan Hankins and Neville Gallimore and all these other guys that they haven't brought back. Maybe it's because they didn't want those guys back, but still, you haven't filled those positions.
Correct. But I mean, so now you're going to go into the draft. You're going to see how that plays out. And that could be paired a bunch of different ways, as we know. And then after the draft, there's going to be a lot more free agency. And so they're going to be able to get a lot of these players that they've gotten in years past at a cheaper rate. So there's going to have to be a little more patience, I think, from Cowboy fans in general, just based on the fact they've got so many moving parts with these huge contracts that they have to get done. So they're having to do things right now on the cheap, and they will after the draft as well. They're going to have to do some things on the cheap, or they may make a trade.
I was watching Moneyball the other day. I don't know why. I love that movie. And so I was watching Moneyball the other day, and it just reminds me of a line that Brad Pitt had in that movie, that we're the last dogs at the bowl. It seems like the Cowboys, because of the contract and cap space issues that they have, they're acting like the Oakland A's when they are the second most valued franchise in the world.
Right. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and you're not wrong. But because of the situation being what it is, I think they are going to have to play this a little like Moneyball. They've gotten really good players late in free agency. Jaron Curse, Malik Hooker. There are a lot of guys that are going to be available that are really good, quote unquote, serviceable NFL players that they're going to be able to get. And they may have to do it a little differently this year.
It just came to mind too. They wasted a 4th round pick last year on Trey Lance. And then you see Justin Fields get traded for a 6th round pick.
Right.
Like, how bad do you have to look at that now? Like, Justin Fields is a much better player than Trey Lance is, and he got traded for a 6th.
I know, and it's funny. I heard something the other day from a friend that is closer to the situation, but so it's like, 2 people removed, basically, this information, but that Trey Lance is struggling up there too.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
You're right. I mean, again, I like Dak, just not at that price. I like 13, but not at that price coming off that injury. Some of eventually these things do catch up with you, and then you're kicking the can down the curb and making their job now harder based on things that they've done before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cluster bleep in Dallas right now, especially when it comes to their cap situation. So, Bob, anything to add?
How much did you love that Brahmas game yesterday?
That was so much fun. So I covered the Brahmas yesterday in the Alamo Dome, and Alex Mollett catching the center, catching the 40-yarder from Brad Wing. Like, it was unbelievable. That was a kind of a crazy environment on Easter.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you said it was like that in person, because Zach and I were back here at the station watching the game, and I can't believe we both got out of our seat and we're going, well, yeah, it's like score. Like, what are we doing? This is spring football. It's opening day. And we got excited. But I was more excited about just the Wade Phillips Riverboat Gambler. They're going to go out and kick the long field goal, and De La Haye gets iced with the timeout. And the ball looked great coming up his foot, by the way. Right. So you go from that to all of a sudden Wade Phillips going, you know what? Screw this. You're going to ice my kicker. I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to pull out some gadget out of our, orifice and let it rip. I mean, that to me was the coolest part of this. Like, right, what do you have to lose if you're Wade Phillips to do that play, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, no big deal. Everybody was wildly entertained. And then to hear several of those guys say, we've run that play in practice and it never works, was even better.
Well, Brad Wing afterwards, I don't know if he was kidding or not, but he said that was just the way we drew it up. We knew they were going to call a timeout, so destroying De La Haye missed it intentionally to make them think that they called it and it worked, and then they were going to call the fake. I don't know if he was kidding because he didn't laugh when he said it, but he might have been.
And that's chess, not checkers, right there.
Yeah.
If he's spitting the truth.
Second thing is, for people who don't know, you're not supposed to cheer in a press box. Like, there's no cheering allowed. You're there as an objective person. I'm obviously don't care who wins, whether it's the Brahmas or the Defenders. But when that happened, I was sitting there in the press box just watching it. I was like, like not because it was the Defenders or the Brahmas, just because it was an awesome play.
Right, because you're a football fan
Yeah.
and you can appreciate when you see something like that, no matter what level you're on. Again, it's spring football. It's opening day. Why not do that to end a first half?
Yeah, I literally went like this, and then I went like this and looked around me. I was like, sorry. Oops.
And I'm sure there was nobody scolding you either because they were probably doing
they
the
were
same
all
thing.
they were all so hyped.
Right.
So no, that was awesome. Brahmas looked really good yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
They looked
I like the playing small ball thing is very, very cool.
well. They knew that the defenders blitz a lot, so the defenders didn't do any defending. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Anything else, Bob?
No, that's good.
All right. How was your Easter? Good.
First one without the kids around. It was fantastic.
So do you still have candy?
No, we
Oh, okay.
Did your wife give you an Easter egg hunt this time? Did you put it around there?
no, but she made a wonderful dinner.
Oh, there you go. Our
Very
dinner
nice.
was Whataburger for you and
That's right.
Popeyes for me while we were putting all of
Whataburger
our
kids meal
stuff
for
together.
Zach and I, and you had Popeyes. Man, we ate like champs yesterday.
Meanwhile, Luis is making briskets and ribs. Didn't get the invite to the Escamilla household.
Maybe next year we can play our way onto his team.
All right, that's all we got for you today on the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. Remember to rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We will be back on Thursday as my last one until vacation, and then Zach will be taking over for a couple of episodes. So we will see you back here on Thursday to talk all things sports and Texas. Until then, everyone have a good week.